from our experience in the local space, we're actually seeing advertisers that previously only advertised on broadcast affiliates are now leaning into cable because they really want to use data-driven insights to help them more efficiently spend across all screens. So when they move to cable, they realize there's more opportunity for reach. And then beyond that, they're seeing that there's a whole streaming environment that they can also use the same kind of data insights to help activate and get more incremental reach. So beyond broadcast, then cable, and then those same advertisers are moving to streaming. So they are. And it's not just the mid-size or small size, it's really advertisers of any size. So, I think that what's most important in that space is that they're really being more data-centric, where in the past they weren't as data-centric as maybe the national space. So we're really seeing a shift on the local space because they know that video is important to their brands and it's actually, driving business outcomes, both from brand awareness as well as moving product.
So on the note of being more data-centric, or how are some of these clients that maybe are newer to that medium handling like the challenge everyone faces with cross-platform measurement and identity?
I think that everybody has this intuition that, airing across screens and multiple different channels is very important. But once you can actually see the validation on the back end and see there's uniqueness in all different tactics. So if you see that there's unique viewers in linear and streaming and you're not reaching the same viewers over and over again, then you know that there's proof in your investment, and it's kind of the aha moment. But it does take the investment to actually get that answer many times. We have seen for some of our clients as little as a 5% duplication across linear and streaming. That means that if a client is not investing in one of those spaces, then they're just missing out on a huge percentage of their potential reach. And in doing so, you have to make sure that you're actually measuring correctly and deterministically tied back to that household ID in a privacy compliant manner. So because we're positioned in a place where we have subscriber files from the MVPDs and authenticated users that are tied back to those subscribers, again, in a privacy compliant manner, we're able to deterministically understand which audiences saw which ads in which environments, and therefore which part of the reach is incremental to another.
So do you think the streaming and specifically the data-driven aspect of it is in locals underappreciated on both sides of the market?
I think that they're getting there. I think that it took a little bit longer for the local space to kind of adopt what the national players have been doing for a little while. But with a more of a data-centric focus and understanding that there are opportunities to tie back a household ID deterministically in a privacy compliant way back to what they're actually investing on, there's no reason not to be using the insights that they could be to their benefit.
Overall, we talk about TV emblemating parts of digital. Right now, is identifying consumers in CTV going to be better or worse than digital? And where is there room for improvement?
Yeah, it's got to be better. TV has decades of experience of just rules and regulations and compliance that digital didn't have before, and maybe they're getting there, but it's still a ways away. And there's always room for improvement. There will be in the future. There are now. I think right now we just need to make sure that our measurement is holistic. And we talk about convergence on the activation front. You need multiple platforms and multiple ways to reach an audience, but you have to make sure you're measuring holistically too. So on the back end, get rid of the silos, get rid of the TV versus digital, make sure your impressions being measured are as similar as possible, and deterministically tie back that information to a household, an identity spine, and then you can see a accurate and reliable holistic measurement on the back end. I think that's where we can currently improve as of today.
Lastly, you mentioned the silo challenge. What can we do about that? Does that have to come from the brands themselves? Is it an inherent structural thing for the whole industry?
That's a great question. I think that right now everybody kind of agrees it's a little bit of both. Even a conference this morning, there's a bit of that. The brands are set up where they're relying on their agencies. The agencies are set up previously a little bit more siloed. I think they're coming together a bit now more as you're seeing a lot of the holdcos restructure and reorg as well. There was a ton of talk this morning actually about how agencies need to be structured the way that incentives are structured. And same thing with sales sales groups. So if you're selling or working for what's working today, it may not be what's working for tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, right now there's still different digital buyers and TV buyers. That's changing at some agencies, but many times it's not. And when we talk about measurement on the back end, how are they activating? What is each buying group actually looking for? And if that's not holistic and the same, owned by the brand, really driving that conversation, then can't really compare apples to oranges.
So as TV becomes more data driven, are brands finding it challenging to get access to the data that they need to make TV as effective as possible?
I think that it's been challenging in the past, but the data definitely exists and the technology is there. So we as Ampersand sit in a unique space where we actually have data assets that allow us insights into linear viewing, streaming viewing, and broadband-only households in a way that we can map that back together to an anonymized household ID and then be able to give deterministic measurement in a privacy-compliant manner of the households that were reached in each of those environments. And again, video is important no matter where it is, but it's also important to know where it's actually reaching your households and your audiences.